A new direct China to Europe train route started its journey for the first time on Saturday from Wuhan to Dorj. The train, carrying 41 containers of sportswear, will pass through Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, Poland and Germany and will arrive in France 18 days later. The route reduces the transporting time by almost 20 days and also cuts back on carbon dioxide emissions. The train is expected to run once a week.
The Deputy Speaker within the Iraqi Kurdish Parliament has announced the resignation of the region's president. Massoud Barzani is to step down on November the 1st following an independence referendum which he championed but which has backfired, triggering a regional crisis. In a bitter televised address, Barzani defended the independence vote. The Peshmerga played a major role in the Mosul operation, and without the Peshmerga, the Iraqi army would never have been able to liberate the city of Mosul. We thought that the international community would reward the Peshmerga and the people of Kurdistan in return with independence. As Parliament debated Barzani's decision to stand down, some of his supporters forced their way into the building to protest against his treatment. The region has been in turmoil since the referendum a month ago prompted military and economic retaliation from Iraq's central government in Baghdad.
Vice President Mike Pence toured Minot Air Force Base and spoke to the airmen responsible for keeping and maintaining a portion of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. During his speech, Pence touched on the tense situation between the U.S. and North Korea. He maintained the U.S. does not want to go to war with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. In the face of ongoing threats and provocations by the regime in North Korea, I can assure you the United States will continue to marshal economic and diplomatic pressure to demand that North Korea abandon its nuclear and ballistic missile programs. President Trump has made clear that the United States has, in his words, great strength and patience. All options are on the table. But Pence also made it clear that North Korea, and the rest of America's enemies, should not underestimate the capabilities of our military. Our enemies should never doubt the capabilities of the armed forces of the United States of America. Anyone who would threaten our nation should know that America always seeks peace, but if we are forced to defend ourselves or our allies, we will do so with military power that is effective and overwhelming. To that end, the Vice President told the airmen stationed at Minot Air Force Base, and the U.S. military at large, they should be ready to carry out their duties at a moment's notice. Now more than ever, your Commander-in-Chief is depending on you to be ready, stay sharp, mind your mission, and your airmen, and be that credible deterrent that has assured the security of the American people for generations, Pence said.
The amount of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere grew to a record high in 2016, according to the United Nations. Last year's increase was 50% higher than the average of the past 10 years. Researchers say human activities and the El Nino weather pattern drove the CO2 to a level not seen in 800,000 years. The change could fuel an up to 20-metre rise in sea levels and add 3 degrees to temperatures. The report's been issued a week ahead of the next round of UN climate talks. Despite President Trump stating he intends to take the US out of the deal, negotiators will be working on guidelines for the Paris Climate Agreement of 2015.
Hundreds of people gathered in central Moscow on Sunday to honour the memory of thousands of men and women executed by the Soviet authorities under leader Joseph Stalin. Speakers read aloud the names of some 30,000 Muscovites, only a small portion of the estimated 1 million or more thought to have been killed. The authorities try to flirt with this dark past. We sometimes see how in different situations they allude to some kind of affinity with the Soviet Union, with Stalin. That's why events such as today are all the more important, so that the authorities will see that the people have forgotten nothing. Memorial, a widely respected civil rights group, has held the ceremony every year since 2006. Germany's ambassador to Russia attended this time.
20th century has known so much repression in my own country too, in Germany. So we are commemorating all the victims because only remembrance will help us to prevent such things from happening again.
Under Stalin's rule from 1924 until his death in 1953, millions of people were also deported to prison camps. Some rights groups have accused President Vladimir Putin of seeking to whitewash the Soviet dictator's crimes amid a wave of patriotic fervour.
Strong winds battered northern and central Europe on Sunday, killing 2 people in Poland, 2 in the Czech Republic and 1 here in Germany. Winds reached more than 100 kilometers an hour in several parts of the Czech Republic and topped 180 kilometers per hour on Snežka, the country's highest mountain. The victims in Poland and the Czech Republic were killed by falling trees. The storm also knocked out power to thousands of Czechs and Poles. In Germany, railway operator Deutsche Bahn cited what it called significant damage on main routes. It said rail traffic on many routes in northern and central Germany would remain suspended until Monday. The decision left thousands of travellers stranded and cut rail access to cities like Bremen, Hamburg, Berlin, Hanover and Kiel. 1 man died after being hit on a pavement in a town in the north of the Czech Republic. A woman was also reportedly killed. The weather delayed or halted traffic on several railway lines and slowed rail traffic. A pipeline was damaged at the liquefied gas terminal in a northern Polish port. There was a small leak.
The Spanish chief prosecutor has called for charges, including rebellion, to be brought against Catalonia's leaders over their push to separate from Spain. He also called for them to be charged over misuse of funds. Under Spain's legal system, the request will now be considered by a judge.
El Ministerio Fiscal The
public prosecutor has filed complaints for crimes of rebellion, sedition, embezzlement and other related acts against the main political leaders of Catalonia, whose decisions and actions over the last 2 years have produced an institutional crisis that culminated with a unilateral declaration of independence made with total disregard for our constitution on October the 27th. Following Friday's declaration of independence by Catalonia, Spain fired the region's government and dismissed its parliament, replacing civil servants with Spanish officials. Despite pro-independence groups calling for civil disobedience, work resumed as normal in Catalonia on Monday, a sign that direct rule by Spain was taking hold.
U.S. pressure has delayed an Israeli ministerial vote on Sunday on a proposed bill that Washington fears entails annexation of Jewish settlements. The Greater Jerusalem legislation would put some settlements in the occupied West Bank, which were built on land Palestinians seek for a future state, and are viewed as illegal by most countries, under the jurisdiction of Jerusalem's municipality. Proponents of the legislation think it falls short of formal land annexation to Israel, and will enable around 150,000 settlers to vote in Jerusalem city elections.
Televidente, assim aqui nós apresentamos a notícia internacional. Nós passa para um corte publicitário e agora nós back é deporte.